Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nest. I am your host, McNewbyFit. That's the name we went with today, and I am back again with easily what's going to be the most scuffed episode of the Nest we do all season. I have two degenerates on with me tonight. That's going to be McNewby from Barbecue Dads and Sempra from Council of Anime Girls. So it's sure to be an interesting show, to say the least. I'm very excited to bring this one to you. This is going to be our first episode of the Nest that we don't do with analysts. We will have some guests from the team, like I just mentioned. And this is mostly because I want you guys who all watch this to get a little bit more, how should I say this, friendly with the players from the teams. I want to help them build storylines and just, get their names out there a little bit. This is their chance to have the floor, brag about their teams a little bit, talk a little bit of smack, within reason, of course. And I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys. So pretty much the same road show. We're going to talk about week 2. We're going to ask these guys what they think about each team that played and what they think of the scores, about the upsets, about the predicted outcomes, all that jazz, right? Then we'll get into their power rankings, which are, I can say, very, very interesting and well put together. And then we'll do some match predictions and we'll get into some stats later near the end. But without further ado, let's get this one on the road. Starting out with me tonight, we have McNewby from Barbecue Dads and the Disappointments. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're an Owlet veteran. You were here in season 3.5,
Yeah,
win a 1v1 champion.
I've been here for a little bit. I've been around the block a little, but yeah, we've rebranded the Crusaders who won 3.5 to Barbecue Dad and the Disappointments. I got off to a little bit of a slow start this season, so in order to counteract that, we've actually tried flexing me over to the Lucio, which not many people know, but I'm phenomenal at. Shinote wasn't a big fan of it, so he's currently locked in my basement. If you hear anything, that's him. Just calling for help, but don't worry, I feed him. He's fine. Like, he'll be okay.
I don't know if I believe that, but we got a show to do. So for now, it's going to have to wait. Our next guest is Semper from Council of Anime Girls. He is well known around the server for reasons not too great, but we'll give him an opportunity to say some nice things about himself. So Semper, why don't you take the floor, man?
Yo, what's up? I'm the season 3.5 DPS MVP. I'm the DPS for Coag. I am the manager. I won the first and only Ligma award. That's a fact.
I don't think that happened, to be honest.
I'm reading my script.
I don't recall that.
According to my script, I'm a moderator because Abyssal needed more of a prevent me from breaking rules.
That's true. I can. That's very true. Abyssal told me that himself.
I lost round 1 to McNewby on Widowmaker, so
shocker.
I don't play Widowmaker. Yeah.
I do.
Awesome. Very fun. Very fun. We can get into a bit of the games now. There'll be chances for you guys to talk about your teams while we're doing it. So we can talk about day 1 first. We had some very, very interesting games. First of which was Storybook Villains versus Everfrost. Storybook Villains took this 3-1 pretty handedly, but a little bit closer than I think a lot of people thought. Storybook Villains was hyped up as one of the top teams in the division, and even though we had some questions about how good they would be, they had a very, very commanding victory later on. So I am a little bit not confused, but I was a little surprised to see that Everfrost was able to take a map off them. So yeah, no, we can throw it over to you, McNewby. I'm curious to know what you think about each of these teams.
Personally, what I like to look at when I'm looking at teams is the hit scan players and looking at, say I've been looking a little bit at Storybook Villains because they've been hyped up a little bit. Looking at brutal ones, specifically is Sombra is what I like to look at because I don't know. I like playing Sombra. I like watching other people play Sombra. I'm really impressed with what I see, but that's to say, I don't think he's going up against my Sombra yet, so I want to hold out until that happens to make any concrete statements.
I see. You want to get shouted out of a few of your EMPs before you make any judgments.
That's my plan.
I get that. Don't worry. As a once upon a time, I understand. What about you, Semper? What do you think of these teams?
It's pretty obvious that Storybook Villains is joking around in some of their matches. I'm not sure about this one. I didn't watch it, I don't think. But like when you look at the stat lineup, it like a lot of these are like pretty close. Like McNewby was saying, you look at the hit scan player. The hit scan player kind of defines who your team is, right? If you have a good hit scan player, that your team is probably pretty good. You feel me?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Brutal 1 and Blackstroke, there's obviously an excuse to be made for Brutal 1 because he was playing Sombra. Sombra doesn't do very much damage, but you can see
I
the
do
damage.
gotta say though, that damage on Sombra's really impressive. He's putting in some big numbers. I don't know. I don't know if he like EMP'd like a Sombra out of, or if he EMP'd like a Lucio sound barrier away a few times or something like that. But those are some really good numbers for
Yeah,
Sombra.
that like,
I,
but you have to
I
give
think it was
credit.
McCree and Sombra. I don't
Oh,
think it
was
Yeah,
was.
it a combined? I
Yeah,
wasn't.
the
I
12, the
wasn't.
12.6 damage. I'm pretty sure that was McCree, and I'm
I
pretty
was.
sure the second one was Sombra.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The
Oh,
8.6. That's some
yeah,
good
that is
damage for
totally good
Sombra.
damage.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is some good damage.
That,
That is a pretty good. Hello,
oh,
Joey.
scuffed episode.
Scuffed.
We're having some technical difficulties at this point in time. Well, we're
We're
all
good.
good.
We're good. Okay.
There are no more technical difficulties at this time, which is
As
very, very poggers indeed, if I do say so myself. Semper, where were you?
as we're saying, like, as like you can see how impressive some of these players are. Like Blackstroke, I'm looking at this guy. He popped off during the. I know he had a huge like 5K on in during the preseason, and this guy doesn't look like he's backing down or anything because those are some pretty big stat stat numbers. You feel me? Like, because as Hollywood doesn't seem to be going for like as long as 11.5k damage per 10 suggests. You feel me? Like this guy has been doing some serious damage, so I feel like Everfrost is still in this, even when they lose. So
Awesome. Thank you for that expert analysis. We're gonna move on to the next game now, which is actually yours, Sempra. It was Coag versus Absolute Monstrosity, who has unfortunately dropped out of the tournament. Rip my boy Hoopa. I hope he gets picked up. If anyone's looking for an off tank, you should hit him up. He's kind of crazy. But yeah, no, I'm curious to know. You guys have played this team. I think this was your third time playing them, right? Between preseason and now,
um
because with the schedule rechange, you played them week one as well, right? Or am I
no,
being stupid?
you're
No.
being stupid. Yeah, you're being
Oh,
stupid.
it's okay. That happens a lot. But yeah,
Hey,
no. Tell me what happened in this rematch.
Oh wait, maybe we did.
maybe Semper Super. Do we need a
Yeah,
fact
I'm
check?
I mean, he
forgetting.
is Canadian, so I
I'm
believe it.
forgetting.
Here,
But
I'll get us a quick fact check.
regardless, dude, I'll give it to these guys that they're pretty good at the game, right? Like I feel like Hoopa has a lot to say for himself. You feel me? Like his Sigma's kind of cracked.
True.
Like I think overall this team wasn't a bad team, but I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I don't think they were playing like if they were playing in their division, they'd probably be steamrolling every team. But when you when you play as high as they were, it kind of messes you over, right? But
Yeah, no, I understand.
overall, dude, like we play these guys, and I can't say that these guys were bad. Like, are you
Yeah.
seeing this, dude? 25 damage per 10, dude, that's insane. Like, that was a ringer, yeah, but that's insane, dude.
Yeah, that was still the team that was enabling those kind of numbers.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly. That's a team that's enabling those kind of numbers, dude. 25k is insane. Like,
pretty large
that's
and in charge.
dude. I cannot fathom how this guy was like on 98% accuracy, some shit with or something with Junkrat, right? This guy is hitting every shot,
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
So like I feel like Absolute Monstrosity, there were some fun guys to play against. Like we 3-0'd them right twice, maybe three times, I don't remember. But I don't think 3-0 tells a full story. Like these guys are really, really good. They
Yeah.
gave us a lot of trouble.
No, I definitely think, especially, I think they got a lot better between preseason and now. I'm not exactly sure what the reason for them dropping is, but I hope, I wish these guys the best. I hope they do well moving forward because I do think they had a lot of potential. They just didn't really have a chance to realize it. I think what you brought up about them being a little bit too high, I think that is true. If you remember from the first episode, the preseason episode of the Nest, we did note that their scrim range was around 3.3, which is pretty low for a Masters Division tournament. I think in a Diamond Division tournament, such as GGNA or something like that, they would have done just fine. I think they had potential, unfortunately, just unable to realize it. But yeah, no, this was a good win. I'm curious to know now, McNewby, you can say some things about the Semper team. What do you think about Council of Anime Girls?
I think honestly, I'm gonna say I think they're a fantastic team. I love them. I love everything about them. But my favorite part about all of Council of Anime Girls, I have to say, is Hawk. That guy is an absolute monster. You put him on anything I've seen him play, he plays to like the highest ability of possibly anybody in Owlet. Like he is. I would argue he's like the backbone of the team. Like they enable him to do so much, and he capitalizes on almost every single little bit of of damage that he gets the chance to do. Like he does everything for him. He's a fantastic player.
I couldn't agree more. The guys on Coag actually clown me a lot because I talk about Hawk a lot when I cast, but it's really hard not to. I mean, the guy, like, he wins his ones. He has great awareness. He's just a really, really like smart player. Doesn't misuse ults. Doesn't position poorly all the time. He's never the reason.
You can't not talk about him. Like just he's like a constant highlight reel.
Exactly, and he's not the reason they win every fight, but he's never the reason they lose a fight. And that's something that I think is a really big thing about
You feel me? Like I like when people are in chat and they're like Hawk carry and stuff. I honestly don't see that as a bad thing because one thing you have to realize is that one player isn't winning a 1v6, dude. Yeah. Our team is setting him up, right? And like I'm not trying to take this away from Hawk. This guy is insane. Like I look up this guy a lot. Like I'm a flex DPS player. He's a flex DPS player. This guy's insane.
Shut up, dude. It's the cute storyline of 3.9.
Well, like legit, dude. Like
what you mean?
Well, Mushroom is protecting our backline. That's enabling him. Our tanks are making space for him, right? And what McNewbie said, this guy's taking every single piece of like opportunity we give him, and he's like you know when you eat and you go to the restroom, right? It's like
I don't know where this is going. I don't like where this is going. I'm just gonna cut you off right there. Like, just choose a different analogy, please.
Here, I got one. So when we played them in week 1, like our first match, we obviously it was a very questionable game because we had the Hyper Knight DPS, which is you don't like to see the Hyper Knight DPS, especially when you're going.
I love to see the Hyper Knight DPS. He had some fatty MPs.
Oh yeah.
As the guy that's playing DPS alongside him, you don't like to see it. Okay,
no,
so my boy Hyper.
I broke it down in the way that you have to go about like a game against Coag is with the DPS is one DPS has to basically be entirely on Hawk duty, and then the other DPS does everything else. So you pretty much need one person dedicated to taking care of Hawk and trying to keep him as far out of the fight as you can, and then the other person does everything else. And Grant, again, I was playing alongside Hyper as a DPS, but like even still, I was having a very hard time keeping him contained because that guy just the second I think I have his number and I know what he's gonna do, he comes out from my left and just bursts me down and I'm dead. Like he's thinking on like 7 different levels at every time.
No, I will say, especially his like movement and his use of cover is just like really, really good. He's really good at winning 1v1s for that reason, is because he's really smart about the way he like peeks and like how he uses his movement and all that. Really, really phenomenal player. But we talk about other players on this team as well. I think especially Alcura and Blattman, the tank line, both very, very phenomenal players. Blattman doesn't get talked about a lot.
It's a strong tank line.
Blattman, you mentioned Hawk as the backbone of this roster. I almost think it's Blattman. Blattman's the one making all the calls, making all the comms, and December can talk about that as well.
Yeah, I feel like 2 people that don't get as much screen time and recognition are kind of carrying this team, and that's Clown Dog and Blattman. Right, you look at their SR and they're like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, right? But their SR does not reflect how they play the game, right? Because the way they play is not going to help them in comp. But those guys are carrying our game. Like Clondog does not speak a word on flex support, right? But this guy is carrying us fundamentally by calling out those small things and by just enabling our DPS so much. And Blattman carries our comms. This guy is really, really good, right? And he's just an extremely smart player. And I think it comes down to the fact that he plays Pokemon at like a really, really competitive level. So like all of that memorization and stuff, it has to help you.
What's Sempra? I gotta say, one of my favorite parts of Coag is seeing Semper on the bench. It just makes my day.
Oh yeah, no, warms my heart, to be honest.
I joined the lobby. I joined the lobby, see Semper on the bench there, puts a smile on my face.
No, we should get going on to the next game. So our next game, of course, was Meow Legion versus Monarchy, or excuse me, Meow Legion, as they are wanting to be called. I don't want Griffin to get mad at me for calling them Legion, even though I know them as Legion. Formerly Rome Legion of Altitude Esports, probably still Rome Legion and Altitude Esports, I wouldn't know. Left that server a while ago. But yeah, no, they took a 3-0 victory over Monarchy, who kind of surprised me, actually. I was surprised at how Monarchy did in their later game this week. They actually, on day 2, they won a game against, I believe it was Everfrost. And I was kind of surprised because they had to forfeit both their matches in week 1 because they didn't have enough players. So they've recently restructured their team. And And they didn't play this well in that game. They did play well in their other game, so I was a little bit surprised here. But I'm curious to know what each of you guys think about each of these teams. McNeeby, I know you do have a couple things to say about Meow
I have
Legion, so
some
let's start with
words
you.
for Meowegian. Okay, I don't like that they meow. I don't like that they do. I don't. There's a lot of stuff I don't like, and I don't think any of it's really justified. But I have to say, I can't dislike them while they're playing. They play some clean, good, fun Overwatch. I
True.
enjoy watching them. I watched a glimpse. I watched a tiny bit of this game, and I just it almost puts a smile on my face as much as I hate to say it. But I mean, I don't I don't have anything against any of the players personally. I just have something against what they do and what they stand for and their team name. But at the end of the day, when if I watch a game, I'm gonna enjoy them and I'm gonna be happy they're playing. Like
Yeah.
I don't I it hurts me to say it, but it's the truth.
No, I definitely I do like them. Of course, my former teammates Hudson and Udi Duty on this team, they both could play this week, and I was very happy to see how much they've improved since being my teammates. Obviously, Guangzhou Gambit was not the most ideal situation, as I talked about last week on the Nest. It makes me really happy to see that both those guys have improved a great deal since being on that team. I mentioned that I didn't think it was a very good environment for improvement. That was one of the big reasons why I left the team to join Bench Boys. But no, I can clearly tell they found their own on Meowegian, and I'm really excited to see how far they go. Hudson especially, Hudson on that ball is a character. When I played with him, he didn't even know how to play ball. He'd gotten an alts count specifically to practice ball, and seeing now that he is able to contend at a pretty high level with that character makes me really really happy. So yeah, no, I'm excited to see how far these guys go. Something that I do want to point out though is I did hear from Hudson, who was actually slotted to be one of our guests this week, that they are actually taking out the starting roster from Meowegian is actually going to a different tournament, and their B team will be taking over in Owlet. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this team. I don't know if some of the players are going to stay or not. I'm not part of the org, so I don't really know what's happening there. But we will see a different Meowegian in their games this week.
Fingers
So I'm
crossed the
curious to
meowing
know how.
stops.
Yeah, fingers crossed they aren't as good as the last one, I guess, for every other team. But yeah, no. I was a little bit about Monarchy. Monarchy was a team that I rated pretty highly based on their scrim range. But since they're like restructure or getting new players on the team, I'm a little bit confused to see how they'll do. I did see, they took 4 points off of hybrid, so clearly they have some level of skill to do that against this Meowegian team. But it's just a matter of how far it goes. So I'm curious to know now from you, Sempro, what you think of each of these teams.
I'm gonna have to agree like part way with McDoobie. I don't agree with the first part. I personally like cat girls. You feel me? So I
Learning a lot about Semper this stream. I gotta
and
say.
essentially this team is pretty good, right? Um, I mean like you can't be like this team is bad. You can't say they're bad, dude. I'm not sure. I don't know much about altitude, but I hear it's a pretty high level tourney. So when you hear that an altitude team is coming to Owlet, it was already like, yeah, they're gonna be one of the top three teams. You feel like I think the big three at the moment is Meow Legion, uh, Storybook Villains, and the other team, Blues
Yeah,
Clues
that
Band
other team, of course.
Blues
I
Clues
have them
Bandits.
rated highly too.
You feel me? Like Meow Legion is proving themselves right with this match. I feel like Monarchy is still contenders. Uh, so like the fact that they were able to 2-1, 2-0, 1-0, and then like I'm not sure about 5-4. I don't know how that looked, but you can tell that this team is not fooling around. You feel me? Like this team is a good team, and I feel like if you're looking out for like if you're looking out for a team to stand for being funny and for being really good, I feel like Meow Region is that team.
Thank you. Thank you for your insights, Sempro. It's
It's
much
beautiful.
appreciated. Especially that part about cat girls. That was really necessary
Yeah.
towards your analysis.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you added that. But yeah, let's move on to the final match of day one, which was Blues Clues Bandits versus Barbecue Dads and the Disappointments. And I think
Oh
this one was a
boy.
little bit more disappointment than barbecue for you guys. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how it went?
You want to know the issue?
I'd love to.
The issue was I didn't have Shinote locked in my basement at this point.
Ah,
So they wouldn't let me on the Lucio. That's where we went wrong. That is the only reason we lost this game.
I see. But
No,
didn't you guys lose the game where you did play Lucio?
They didn't let me play Lucio the way I wanted to. That was the problem.
Okay.
Wait till our game. Wait till our next game. You'll see.
I definitely believe you. I want to make that clear. There's
No,
definitely like I don't doubt that at all. 100% believe.
all things aside, Blues Bandits, credit to them. They were very clean in this game. Like, I mean, we get dismantled relatively easily. That's about to change because we're bringing some meta breakers to our next few games. Be ready for that. But we get dismantled pretty easily, and I think they acknowledged that, they saw that, and then they just started hitting our weak points. They just started, we would have trouble, like, Clutch would go in on a dive, and then all of a suddenly there's a monkey in our back line, and you know Quality's walking forward with Clutch, and the DPS are all over the place. Like, we were just, credit to Blues Clues, because they really made it difficult for us.
Yeah, no, I highly rated Blues Clues going into this tournament. They were one of the only teams in GGNA Advanced that gave my team Bench Boys some legitimate trouble. And I was a little surprised actually. They didn't perform as well as I was expecting. They still were a very good team. To their credit, I don't want to take anything away from them. But they definitely weren't as good as I remember them being. I think the meta change definitely helped with that a lot. But especially their second game, there was clearly a lot of coordination issues. And I think you're right. I think a lot of it comes down to adaptability. They were very adaptable in both of these games, both against you and against Storybook Villains. And I'm excited to see what they do moving forward. But I think they definitely have to work on their communication issues if they want to remain a top team in this division, because they had a couple of, especially on Lijiang Tower, they had a couple of Leo had 2 EMPs that received like 0 follow up. I don't know if it was a timing thing or if he didn't call it very well or what was going on there, but he like solo EMP'd the back line, and then nothing happened with it. And I was just like, hello? Like,
Yeah, I remember.
what's going on here?
You just turn around and like, oh, hey, they're hacked. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, it was kind of weird. But again, I think this team is very adaptable. They'll definitely figure out their problems and get to it. Definitely no problems in this match, though, taking the clean 3-0. I'm curious to know what you think about a Blues Clues. You talked a little bit of Barbecue Dad, so I want to know what you think about the this team, especially since you're playing them this week.
Blues Clues, like, obviously, I can't lie, dude. I'm pretty, like, of all the teams so far that we've been preparing for from preseason to now, Blues Clues is definitely the top of the list. Like, these guys they're good for a reason, right? Leo is pretty crazy, right? You watch his Echo and you can see why Blues Clues is where they are, right? But like, you can't take it away from BBQ. I just wanted to point out a couple things that typically the losing team doesn't have very much damage, right? Damage done, but you see high quality with that 14.6k on Nepal. And that's pretty insane, right? And you, you know there's obviously room for improvement for everyone, right? You said that Blues Clues was not playing at their best, but I think that Blues Clues is really going to be like that team, right? Like, I don't see a playoffs where Blues Clues is not there. So I think I think like even where you're like they weren't playing as good as they are, I don't think that they should be discredited at all, right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to get this moving along, so let's get into our day 2 games. We have, first off, Monarchy versus Everfrost. Monarchy was able to take this in 3-1 fashion over Everfrost, which I was a little bit surprised about. Again, I mentioned this previously, but Monarchy did just kind of restructure their team, so I was a little bit surprised to see them take this game so commandingly. I kind of expected them to win a little bit. Like, I expected them to have something of an advantage, just having experience at a higher level than what Everfrost had been scrimming at. But I was surprised they won it as commandingly as they did. Good on them. I'm glad that they've gotten their subs in and their replacements in, and that they are starting to rebuild this team. So I'm curious. We'll start off with you, Semper, since we started with Big Newbie on the last one. We kind of talked about these teams a little bit, but I am curious to know just like final ending thoughts on both these teams.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought Everfrost was gonna win this, right? But you see Monarchy, like they come off after two forfeits. They come after a loss, and they're still trying, right? Which is really good for them. They take a win. So I honestly think that Monarchy, as unfortunate as their situation has been, you feel me, like where they had to drop out and whatever, drop some teams, right? I think that Monarchy's still in this. Like, there's a couple teams that you might be like, okay, I'm not worried about them if I face them, but Monarchy is not one of them.
All right.
Oh,
What about
some
you,
words,
McNeely?
strong words. I just gotta say, I love the stat. I love to see the Ashe player swap over to the Pharah on Volskaya there. That brings a smile to my face to see the hit scan swapping over to the Pharah. But aside from that, I didn't catch any of this game. I didn't watch any of it
Oh,
back. Yeah, I know it's shame on me,
who do you
but
think you are?
I know, right? I'm coming on here not even prepared for it. But that said, these are two. From what I understand, these are some excuse me, two really strong teams that this game. The score line makes it look like it was fairly one-sided, but I mean, if you look at the map scores overall, it seems like it was a bit closer. Plus, the final blows to the deaths. It was a pretty hotly contested game from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely, it was a 3-1, but the maps are pretty close. So definitely both teams to watch out for. Moving on here, we will get into our next match, which was kind of the premier match of the week. This was kind of like the battle for number one, who's the best right now, which was SBV versus Blues Clues Bandits. I got to cast this game, and I thought it was a great game. I thought it went really, really well. And SPV was able to take it 3-1 over Blues Clues with a very, very strange composition. They were running McCree Genji Brawl with Ana Lucio. It was very, very strange, but I mean, they made it work. It doesn't look like we have a stat card for this one, unless my producer's trolling me, which is absolutely possible. Joey is that kind of guy. He might be doing that to me. But yeah, no, I can tell you like the people you need to watch out for. Obviously, Brutal One had some very good stats in this game. Probably had a lot of damage again. Can't see it on your screen right now, but I can guarantee it happened. He was going for a lot of plays with that McCree. Didn't submit codes. GG is amazing. Thank you, Jerry.
Shame,
I appreciate
shame,
that.
shame.
Reminder to all teams, please please give your codes to us so that we can collect your stats. It goes
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna
long way
be
in helping us do things.
outing you guys live. Echo Force, please submit them. And
Ow.
Ooh.
where's the other
Moderator
guy?
privileges. He has the right to say that on this. I can't stop him.
Where's the other guy? Give me a
All right.
second.
We're just gonna move on a little bit. All I wanted to say about this is that
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hey!
hey,
Look at that.
woo!
Okay,
I did mention
he's a
quickly as
speedy
fuck,
worker.
right? I did mention that. That was like the first thing I started off with here. So I don't think I can be held accountable for this. However, let's get into talking about this. This was a pretty close 3-1, I would say. I think it just came down to a lot of the SB was just a little bit more clutch than Blues Clues. Most of these maps were very, very close. And it just came down to like one or two fight winning moments that Storybook was able to get. But I want to say, even though they were running a strange comp, Storybook Films was definitely trying, right? We talked a little bit in the past about how they might have been memeing with their weird comps and how they weren't really trying that hard. But especially with that post game interview from Echoforce, we learned that they've kind of just been, they're not very good at the meta comps. They're kind of just running these comfort picks, but they're running them very coordinated, right? We saw a lot of coordinated flanks from Kirby Bro and Brutal. We saw it especially on Rialto, where Brutal went to the back line, and the second he peaked, Kirby Bro dove in on the Genji to provide an extra distraction. They were able to get a lot of picks like that. So I think Storybook is going to be one of those teams that runs very weird strategies, but because they're so good at the characters they're playing, they'll be able to do well. And I think Blues Clues just didn't adjust in time to really bring this one back. But I think it was still a very close game, and I like to see it. So yeah, no, I'm excited to see what happens to these teams moving forward.
Yeah, I love to see the teams that like to just run the stuff that's not meta just because they're so good at those heroes that they're playing. That is some of the most fun Overwatch in my opinion that you can watch is just, people just breaking out of what everyone else is playing and succeeding just because they're so good on those individual roles. That is my favorite part you know, of these kinds of tournaments.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anything to add, Semper?
Yeah, I want to say sorry to Echo Force, dude. I was joking. Thank you for these. Thank you for the codes. But overall, this is the one of the only matches that I actually watched, and I really like. It was one of my favorite matches, to be honest. I thought it like you get an immovable object and an that word force, right?
Unstoppable.
Immovable.
Unstoppable, immovable object. The other thing.
Pretty much spelling English for anyone who's confused on why you can't speak.
So like it was honestly pretty close. Like you look at these stats, as close as 3-1 might sound. Like it was close. They had a tie. You feel me? And
Yeah.
I remember watching that one match. Like the hybrid match. I was like, no, it was the escort match. I was like you could see why these teams are top tier, right? You can see Leo. I don't think he's on the stat, but Leo was popping off on Lijiang and uh and I just feel like there's a word to be made for Blues Clues Bandits. They just because they took the L this time does not mean they can take the W overall. You feel me?
Yeah,
You see these stats, right? They're really close. 199 deaths, 256 final blows. That's a really close stat. You're dying almost as much as you're killing, right?
yeah,
So like you there isn't much to be said about Serbic villains because they're just the best at the current time. They're just the best. You can't say very much more than that.
yeah.
But there's a word to be said for Blues Clues Bandits.
Yeah, no, I definitely think both these teams are still very solid. I'm curious to know what they do moving forward. But speaking of moving forward, we will get into our next match now, which will be SpongeBob Mac and Cheese versus Absolute Monstrosity. We won't spend too much time on this one because Absolute Monstrosity, of course, did drop out of the tournament, gone but not forgotten. But yeah, SpongeBob Mac and Cheese took this one pretty convincingly in 3-1 fashion, only dropping Hybrid. I will mention they actually have picked up Mr. Mustard Man. Evidently, he was a ringer in their first match, I'm pretty sure, because they've only recently picked him up. So good on them because he's a very good player.
First,
And yeah, we can talk a little bit about this one. I mentioned last week they still have their like availability issues where they're running different players in different roles on different days because some people can't make things, which I think is still going to affect them moving forward in their skill. But they are still playing well on these comps, on these weird makeshift rosters. So good on them, and they were able to take a pretty decisive win over Absolute Monstrosity.
You want to talk about players in different roles? Wait till the next match.
Oh no, is that a threat?
Boy, that's not a threat. Those are some words of excitement.
I see. Any of
I
that?
me, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you.
I I think SpongeBob Mac and Cheese is one of those teams where they're just being discredited for very little. I think that this team is really good when they shift the gear and they try. You feel me? I remember watching that match versus Everfrost on the preseason. It wasn't live streamed, I don't think, but I remember watching one of the players' POVs, and you could see how when they actually turn the gear on, right? They play really well. These guys are really good players, and I think uh, I think that SpongeBob Mac and Cheese, like I said this for a lot of teams, right? But I really have to give it to SpongeBob Mac and Cheese. These guys have the ability to make it to the playoffs, and they probably will, hopefully.
All right. Well, now we'll get into our last game of the week, which was Meowegian versus Barbecue Dads and the Disappointments. This one was, for lack of better words, kind of a stomp. You guys definitely did not.
Where are my Lucio stats?
They
Excuse
weren't
you.
very good.
I don't
They were
care.
not.
Where are they?
I
I
know they're
don't
still
care
in
if
the
they're
pod
bad.
somewhere.
Show,
Why don't you
show
guys
me
check
how
them
many
out?
times I died on Lucio. Come on. Give me some. Okay. We're skipping map 1. We're skipping map 2. Didn't happen. Going straight to map 3.
Well, the scoreline says
So
it happened.
I
I'm like
don't care.
looking right at it.
They happened. We're skipping them. So map 3. We determined we had a bit of a breaking point after map 2, and we decided, hey, we suck at double bubble. Let's just have fun. So we put me on the Lucio. We put
Excellent choice.
we put fight on the tank. We had, I think we kept audacity on the DPS, and we kept clutch on the tank. And then we also put who was our we put
I think
quality
you
on the
put
DPS.
Xylesia on the Mercy.
We put quality on DPS, who ended up disconnecting. We played without him. Um and we put Xylesia on the Mercy, who I want to point out, after 4 minutes, goal, he had less than, I think, 1100 healing as Mercy. So
High
we
impact player right there.
yeah, so the game plan was basically just have fun, and so we started it out with a classic. We were gonna teleport the Bastion, and then don't know why Quality decides he's gonna go right while we're all going down main, and then we teleport, and only Clutch takes the teleporter. He just teleports to the high ground, gets melted. So end of the day, that was probably some of the worst Overwatch I think that has ever been on a live stream ever, but it was simultaneously probably some of the most entertaining Overwatch that has ever been on a live stream, purely for just laughing value. Did you see Audacity standing there? He stood with his turret to death. He was not leaving that thing side.
Yeah, he did die
I
a lot. That's true.
there was I mean, you had the fight on the Roadhog going in 1v6 and almost making it up the elevator and killing the Ana. That was just for entertainment value. That was a phenomenal game. The,
I would,
the
I would
third
say I
the third
agree.
map. The third map. The other
Yeah.
two, they were probably entertaining if you like watching rolls or stomps, but map 3, that was probably the most entertaining map that has ever been broadcasted.
Probably true. Probably true.
Yeah, I don't have much to add other than how do you guys suck so much that you guys got 30 final blows and they only died 19 times?
Yikes.
Yeah,
How
I don't know how that one adds up.
Yikes.
Somebody lied about their final blows.
someone,
Yeah, I've
someone
been confused about these. I'm gonna have to check with Silent to see how we're getting like, because I don't understand how you can have more final blows than a team has deaths.
Audacity
Same with,
added
like
11.
wins. I don't see how that works.
So we got asked a few times, like, did we just throw map 3 or did we what? Like, we weren't
Some
having
people
fun.
thought you were tilted. I was like, there's no way.
No, we weren't. Okay, we were tilted at the end of map 2, and then we kind of all sat down and we kind of like took a minute and we're like, look, the goal of this isn't to be tilted. We're just trying to have fun. So we threw everything out the window and we're like, we just want to have fun. We don't care if people call us throwers or anything like that, or if we're tilted. We're just gonna have fun, and that might be the most fun Overwatch I've ever played. I don't think I've laughed harder during a game than I did when we're all dead on Audacity, standing on top of the elevator, hammering away at his turret while there's 6 people on the point. That was
Yeah, that was pretty.
fantastic.
That was pretty entertaining. I did enjoy watching that. But yeah, we will move into our power ranking section now. As always, these stats are powered by Overstat.us, and we get these lovely stat cards made by our own Silent Marine Zero. So thank you to both of them for giving us this. But let's talk about our power rankings now. I am going to start. My power rankings are probably the only actual power rankings we've done. I'm pretty sure you both had some very interesting strategies when making yours.
What?
But
Might
yeah,
be the best power rankings you've had here.
as far as my power ranking goes, I haven't changed a whole lot. The only difference is I've moved Blue's Clues down a tier, but I've more evened out my tiers. That's what I've more done. So I have Storybook, Meowegian, and Council of Anime Girls in that top tier still, even though Meowegian is evidently replacing their team. Because I don't think the B team is like a lower level team. I think it's just like their backups, right? So I think what they're doing is they're just trying to give like their subs some more time to play in like a different tournament, so they can get their other players to do something else, like in a more high ranked tournament. So I don't think the actual quality of their play is going to drop that much. So they're still in that top tier. Storybook Villains, of course, just a very talented team. Even though they run their weird comps, they run them correctly. They run them well. They run them with coordination, so they're up there. Coag for Pure, I just think they're getting so much better in such a short period of time. Pipat's doing great things with this team. I think they belong in that tier. Blues Clues Bandits down one because their coordination was not what I expected. They need to iron a few things out, but they're still a very strong team that they could definitely take down teams in contenders tier. I just have to see more of their play to really be confident about placing them up there with them. Monarchy and Everfrost both in that baby tier as well because they're kind of borderline. Like they've had good performances, but they've also sucked against some teams. So I'm kind of like not really sure where to put them yet. Monarchy especially because they've just replaced their roster. So curious to know what they'll do. And then in my probably not tier, I have SpongeBob Mac and Cheese and Barbecue Dad. SpongeBob Mac and Cheese, that's mostly because of the availability stuff with their roster that I mentioned last week, whereas I don't think all their players are available on every day. So they have to put different rosters each time. That's really going to hurt them, and I don't think it makes them. It kind of takes them out of my contenders tier, even though on certain days they can be a very strong team. That inconsistency puts them in that tier where I don't think we'll see much out of them. And then of course Barbecue Dads will be unfortunately in our bottom spot in the league. You guys haven't been performing that well. I'm
You
sorry.
haven't seen enough of the McNewbie Lucio.
I want to put you guys higher, man. I want you to do well.
Just wait. Just you wait. We're making
right.
a playoff run.
I'm looking out for it. And then, of course, I have the gone but not forgotten tier. Hats off to Absolute Monstrosity. They will be missed. So yeah, no, let's get into yours now, McNewey. What do you think about the top teams here?
I broke mine up a little bit differently. So I don't have a lot of time to watch all of the games, and I don't think it'd be fair for me to rate teams that I can't back it up with. So instead of taking like 2 hours to actually put together a concrete power rankings and look at stats and stuff, I took 2 hours to look at all of their emotes, look at their players, and just determine, do I like their name? Do I like how they play? So I broke mine up. My top tier right now is big name, big fun, right? And in there, I have number one, I have Meowegian, because as much as I personally do not like what they do, what they stand for, I don't like them. I have to appreciate that they are bringing a lot of fun in when, they've gotten other people on the meow train. They've got, you know, it's a fun name. They've got a fun little, gimmick quirk thing. And their icon, I wasn't going to give them points on the icon. Then I noticed the Spartan helmet had cat ears, and I was like, okay, you know what? They're going in my top tier.
Got a little ooh face on it too. If you look
Yeah,
close.
it is. I think they're bringing a lot in terms of entertainment value. So then in right next to him, I have Coag because for a slightly different reason. They're not bringing a whole bunch of like super quirky or like this little gimmick kind of thing, but you could watch any one of the players on that for like their entire game, and you will be very entertained. That is a very fun team to watch. Watching how they gel, watching how they move as a unit, watching how they make space. Watch just you could put it on Hawk and you'll just see Hawk, killing everybody. Or you can put it on everybody or on somebody else, like say Blatman. You'll see how they're making space for Hawk to do things, or how they're capitalizing on all of the attention that's going on to Hawk. It is just a fun team to watch. Then in my next tier, I have the big name questionable fun, where I put the teams that I really love their names, but I can't quite put them in the big fun category yet because they haven't brought a lot of super fun to the table yet, at least not compared to Meowwegian or Coag. There I have SpongeBob Mac and Cheese because you say that name and you have to smile. You can't say SpongeBob Mac and Cheese without a little bit of a smile. And then right next to him, I have
SpongeBob mac and cheese.
okay, well, you just don't have emotion. Let's move it. Let's move it on to Blues Clues Bandits. I have very fond memories of Blues Clues. I loved Blues Clues as a kid. I saw the name and again put a smile on my face. You don't need to say it again. I know you're not going to smile. Then we have my team, Barbecue Dad and the Disappointments, because that's one of those kinds of things that, like you hear the name of the team and you know there's a story behind that name. We haven't told people the story behind the name yet. That's coming. But you look at the emote, it's Reinhardt, Kiss the Crusader in a barbecue thing. He's getting ready to put some meat on his grill. And the only reason I don't have him in the big fun yet is because we've only seen one map of our, of basically we've only seen one map of really fun so far, and I can't justify moving them up yet. If this were next week after our next set of games, we're probably in our own tier because we're going to be fun to watch. But
Oh,
for now, we're going to stay there in our place. We're not going to try to overstep our boundaries. Then in my I like the cut of their jib tier, I have the storybook villains because
I'd love to know. What does that mean?
I like the cut of their jibs. Like I like their moxie. I like what they're doing. I like what they stand for. I like what they got going.
I'm gonna start
Right.
using that during pass.
Yeah, I like the cut of their jib. So I got them there because I'm not entirely familiar. I couldn't comfortably put them in big name questionable fun or big name big fun because I haven't watched enough of them. I couldn't look at their emote and be like, that's really fun. Like it's a good emote, it's a good, but I mean, it's not. It's not the Spartan with the cat ears and the uwu. It's not the Coag with the anime faces all over. Like, so I like them. I like what they're doing. They're a good team, but I can't put them up there. Then I got hey, they're a team. I got Everfrost and Monarchy in there. No disrespect to them for putting them here. It's just, I mean, when you're growing up against names like SpongeBob Mac and Cheese or Council of Anime Girls, Everfrost and Monarchy, they can't really hold a candle to it. Like it doesn't, it's not, it doesn't have the same kind of ring to it. So, and then at the bottom, absolute monstrosity, they're gone. So I put them in my McNewbie tier. That's my breakdown of all of how I would rank all of the teams.
Very, very insightful. I think this is going to be exactly how the power rankings end up after this next week of game. But yeah, no, we'll throw it over to you now, Semper. You have an even stranger power ranking, so I cannot wait for the justification of this one.
So if you can tell by my intricately created joke, like took me a couple of hours for this joke.
This man put it together in like 15
Yeah,
minutes.
15
I
minutes, more
literally
like 15 seconds.
yeah
That's
just
what I said. I
DM
said 15 seconds.
yeah
Oh,
just
then
DM
my
to
I'm
misfits
sorry.
all this.
Okay.
You're supposed to be
Just flip the thing around. That's my actual power rankings.
So you have absolute monstrosity at rank 1.
Yeah,
That's an interesting. That's an interesting take.
I was looking at this before I was I was looking at this as I was hearing you guys talk for a couple of hours, and I realized I messed it up. But other than Monarchy, it flipped everyone else around, and that's my legitimate tier list. So I said that those three are the big three. You feel me?
Which one? Storybook, Meow, and Blue's Clues?
Yeah,
Okay.
big three, right? Yeah,
Oh,
Thank you, Joey.
I see.
Best producer NA.
Okay.
It's starting to
Perfect.
encroach on my power rankings. Get out of here, Sempra.
You feel me? Okay, I put
Yeah, I
them at the
feel you.
top because those are the
Hey,
three.
there we go.
When you read the admin sheet, right, you're like, oh, okay, we got a big one coming up, right? You got a juicer. It's juicy, dude. It's yeah, right. So
I know what you're talking about. I've never once thought that.
right. So uh like that's why they're up there, right? I contemplated putting us above Blue Clues. I contemplated putting us at S tier and moving everyone else up. But then I was like I'd seem biased, right? So I'll just make an entire tier for ourselves. So that's what I did.
The trash tier? I agree with that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, no.
What's that tier that you have absolute monstrosity in? What is that?
Let me flip my head around. It's
Doing the
Co-
180.
I want you to
Kobe
read that out.
Kobe Night Toboggan. Anyway, Everfrost Monarchy. I think those two are like
Wait a minute. Can you back it up a second?
No,
What did you
I,
just say?
I think it's mirrored. So yeah, no, there you go.
There we go.
okay. High school dropout.
I'm
Alright.
sorry.
That's not how you spell high or school.
That
Hagai
You didn't
is
get dropout
that
right
is
though. You're
that
1
is
for 3.
Hage. That is
Hagai
Hage
Skull
dropout.
dropout. Hagai Skull's dropout. You
No,
feel
it's
me?
Hage.
Hagai. Yeah.
There we go.
I wrote the word down, but I can't pronounce it. Okay. Anyway, I feel like Everfrost Monarchy, the gatekeeper tier. You feel me? 6 players make it to playoffs. I think those two are gonna decide who makes it, who doesn't. If one of those two teams can beat one of the higher teams above them, that's gonna make a huge shift in who makes playoffs, as well as if they lose to one of the teams below them. Right? That's why I put them at gatekeeper tier because it depends on how they perform, how playoffs will look like, in my opinion. Right? And then I put SpongeBob and BBQ at Poogers tier. I don't even think I spelled tier correctly, but
You
She's
didn't.
not. Once again,
But-
Semper is spelling English, everyone.
anyway, because I feel like these two teams have they can put a name for themselves as long as they try, which I feel like BBQ is not doing.
What do you mean? Did you see Audacity? Look, dude, if
Okay.
you put me on Widow, and then we're going right up. We're going up to the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
thought you were playing Lucio in your next games.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, I'm playing Lucio, but I'm saying my Lucio still can't compare to my Widow.
You know what
Like,
you need
look,
to do? No,
I
here's what you gotta do. Here's what you gotta do. You gotta get 2 computers, right? You gotta play like you gotta play Widow with your right hand, and then you gotta play like Lucio with your left hand, right? You gotta bind all your movement keys to your mouse. Gotta get one of those like League of Legends mouses, or like the freaking like 9 mouse buttons off of your thumb.
I just built a new PC, so I could hook up my old
Ooh.
PC
Let's
to
get
my
pictures,
second
dude.
We're
monitor.
leaking barbecue
we can
dad
show the
strats
stream.
for week
Show the
3.
stream.
Oh, hold
Show the
up.
stream.
We're putting this one down in the strat book.
Show the stream. We want to see the with the picture, the PC.
What, the PC?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Show
actually.
the stream. We'll show the stream.
Yeah.
There's
Pretty
the
good.
new. There's the new PC.
Ooh.
It's nice
Yes,
and shiny
sir.
looking.
I like the LEDs.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
it's all Korean, dude. Why aren't the fans moving?
The fans are moving.
Oh, it's just the camera quality. Just
It's
doesn't look
probably it.
good.
I'm on my phone because I don't have an actual webcam. So
Oh, well, I am impressed with the quality of your phone camera. You did a great job there. All right, let's get into our predictions here now for the next week of games. We will be going into week 3, and this is where we're starting to get into that. Like, it's starting to matter for playoffs now, right? You know, if teams teams that have been losing keep losing, they're not going to be able to make playoffs. The teams that have been winning keep winning. They're going to secure the positions here. I don't think anyone can clinch just yet, but I do think some teams are getting there. Specifically Coag and Sorbic Villains, since they are both undefeated at this time. So let's get into our predictions for this week of games. We start off with the matches that we think are going to go differently. I personally think Coag is going to get 3-0'd by Blues Clues Bandits, which differs from both your predictions. So I'll justify that real quick. I just think that because Coag has Semper on their team, I don't think there's any way they win this game.
No, dude, I'm gonna be real with you
you
guys.
can't lose the game from
I'm
the
a-
bench.
Yeah, you can.
I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. Before
All right.
before this started, Misfit asked me, "Are you guys playing double bubble?" And then I said, "Yeah," and he said 0-3.
Yep. That is literally exactly what happened, actually.
No, I gotta
Now that I
say-
know they're playing double bubble, it's just not looking good for them.
I gotta take my statement back. You can lose a game from the bench because Hyper Knight lost us a game from the bench because he wouldn't mute himself, and he just kept his mic up against his grill with a hamburger grilling on there. We just heard the sizzling of his grill the entire game, and we couldn't actually do anything.
That actually
Uh,
sounds like really. That sounds like
Actually,
really good. I would totally
actually,
like play Overwatch to the sound of like meat cooking.
It
That's
was
like
nice.
that's such a
It was
relaxing
nice
sound as
for
a
like
hearing.
30 seconds. It was nice for like 30 seconds, but then you get like the grating of like him flipping it over, and like he's not very good with it. Like he's phenomenal with the barbecue, right? But he's not good with the spatula. He's not good with the utensils, right? So he makes loud noises, he makes scratches, he makes no it's just
Okay, yeah, no,
so
I get that.
that's grating. The,
actually,
the sizzling is the high point, but I mean he lost us when he flipped the burger over.
actually, that's breaking the rules because during official match time, you cannot have your mic on the bench.
Okay,
We tried
Semper
to
has
tell
been
him
Semper's been surrogated for that.
we tried to tell him, but he couldn't hear us over the juicy burger.
I see. I see. No, I'm definitely. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna go aim train to some barbecue ASMR. That's exactly what's happening now. Thank you for giving me this idea. I'm about to hit all my shots. About to be a Kovacs Kyle.
That's how I hit my shots as Widow.
But yeah, no, I can justify a little bit of what I'm thinking about for Coag versus BCB. I think they were really strong on the ball comps because they have Alcura. I think he's a phenomenal ball player, and I think they're just a little bit behind. I know Reed, who will be their Winston player, hasn't been because of course ball's been meta. Reed's not been getting all the scrim time because why would you practice with Reed when your starting main tank plays ball? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So now that he is back in that starting role to play the Winston, he may be a little out of practice. I'm unsure of how well Coag is going to do on this new composition. I need to see more of it first. So yeah, for now, this is mostly a meme thing. I don't actually think they're going to get 3-0, but I do think BCB has a good chance to beat them for this first game. So I'm hoping that it's an interesting game at least. I hope it's a 3-2, something close, something fun that we can see from both sides. I'm excited to see Hawk and Black, the rematch against Blues Clues Bandits, because of course Metro did play them in the tournament. I'm curious to know if the BCB guys want that run back at all, since it was such a close game. But yeah, no, we can throw it over to you guys now. Let's see if we have any other interesting games here. It seems both of you, or no, actually both of us, McNewbie, think that Everfrost is going to beat SpongeBob Mac and Cheese. But Semper, you believe that SpongeBob Mac and Cheese is going to beat Everfrost. So do you want to justify that one real quick?
He's Canadian. It doesn't matter.
SpongeBob Mac and Cheese is gonna beat Everfrost. Yes.
Why is that?
Simply, dude. SpongeBob could beat what's his name? What's that one guy?
SpongeBob is powerful, therefore they will win.
Yeah, they beat Monarchy before, I think, in the preseason or something.
Monarchy wasn't in preseason.
Whatever. Like you feel me? Like
No.
the teams.
You're not making any sense, Semper. I need you to calm down and just slow down a little bit. Start making sense, please.
The teams that SpongeBob Mac and Cheese can beat, Everfrost is losing to. That's my justification for it. SpongeBob Mac and Cheese is taking games and maps from teams that Everfrost is getting is just losing to. You feel me? That's what I'm thinking. Because I think SpongeBob Mac and Cheese overall is actually a mechanically good team, but they're running Bastion sim comps, right? I don't think they're trying as much as I could. So like I said, like if they take it from reverse to gear 4, I think that's what it's called. They will seriously make a dent in a lot of these outlet teams, right? I said they could pretty easily upset Everfrost and Monarchy and make it to A tier if they just play hard enough. You feel me? They could be the gatekeepers that we need, right?
Chad is asking for a "you feel me" counter for how many times you've said that.
I regret letting you use my profile picture for your picture because I feel like my name's being soiled now.
I got soiled enough by McNewbie
He-
Loose.
he
Yeah, I don't think
said-
there's much more damage that can be done to it.
He said you take it out of reverse and you put it into gear 4. Is that what you call it?
Is that how
Yeah.
cars work? You just go straight from reverse to gear 4?
Oh, Semper. There we go. The Semper's
stick,
failing
dude,
English.
the
There we go.
stick.
That's better. That's better.
Stick, dude. You
That's
put the
pretty
stick,
true. He totally is.
you put the stick up 4 or 5.
Yeah, you just go from reverse straight to gear 4. You know what that's going to do? That's probably going to break your car engine, is what's going to
Well,
happen.
at least your car's gonna be
Cars don't work that way. You go from
your
reverse.
car's gonna be
Wait,
pretty
wait.
freaking fast.
Can you even drive a car?
That sounds like a no. That's what that sounds like.
Let alone a stick shift?
Whatever.
I
dude,
can't drive a
I
stick shift. I'll
don't
make
drive.
that.
I have my learner's license and I haven't touched the steering wheel. Okay, it's like I don't even know
It's
how a
very
car.
apparent by your car analogies.
All right, we should stop bullying Sempra on the nest. Penguiners gonna get mad at me. As much as I love bullying Sempra, I can't do it on the nest. All right, let's get into another one of these interesting things. The last thing that I'm like super curious about is we do see McNewbie. You think Everfrost is going to 3-0 Monarchy? I'm curious about that. We both predicted that Monarchy would win that, and Monarchy did win that game like just this last week. So I'm curious to know your justification behind why you think Everfrost is going to take that game.
I think Everfrost is going to come in with fire in their eyes after losing that game. I think they're
They're
just going
called
to come.
Everfrost.
What'd you
Where's the
say?
fire? Where's the fire coming from? They're called
Oh, that's a good
Everfrost.
point. You know what?
Ah,
Maybe I need to swap that because if they put fire in their eyes, they're just gonna melt and
All right,
collapse.
yeah,
You
let's
know
get a
what?
better analogy going on here.
Yeah, no. Let's just flip it. Monarchy's 3-0ing Everfrost.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'm jumping ship.
Analogy didn't work, just boom.
Yep, that's it. I'm that shallow.
Changed his mind.
All right, well, that is probably going to do these match predictions here. Thank you both for coming on. Really did appreciate it. Semper, you were a great entertainment for the show.
Hey, dude, I have one thing to tell you, dude. To everyone on the nest, I think that Misfit.
Okay.
Oh, and he's gone.
Yep, that was yeah. I'm pretty sure he DC'd himself there because I know I didn't.
Yeah,
I know
that was 100% his doing.
That was definitely him. Yeah, well, Semper's an interesting character. Definitely one of my favorite people in all of Owlet. I like to clown him a lot, but he's a good guy. Definitely one of my. I'm glad I got to coach that team. He was a fun guy to coach. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, McNewbie. You were a joy to have. I wish you all the best in your games this week. So yeah, good luck for that. This is going to be we're going to take a short break here, and we will come back with some stats, which we've been hyping up for so long. We actually have rankings for stats now. Woo! Everyone, clap for Misfit and Joey. We actually did our job for one. Woo! Woo! So yeah, we're going to go to a very short break, and we'll see you back here in just a little bit. I have been hailed many times as Misfit, the math god, the metric man, all of it, right? I do a lot of things with numbers here, and now I'm back as StatsFit to bring you some rankings here. It didn't exactly go the way that I had planned it to. I should have been a little bit more specific with Joey about what I wanted when I was asking him to make these graphics, but we do have some stats for you, which is better than nothing. We have finally put together some rankings. We didn't for the first 2 weeks, mostly because not enough games have been played. And so the stats would be kind of skewed to the teams that have actually been playing and not the ones that have been, getting forfeits and stuff like that. So the biggest issue was that Coag was kind of dominating in some of the stat categories last week because they were the only team that had actually played every day. But yeah, that didn't happen anymore. We do have some more games, so we finally were able to put together some statistics for you. So we'll show those now. I don't know which one we're going to start with. Let's start with the tanks one. We do have a little bit for that category. Oh, no, apparently we're starting off with final blows. My producer doesn't tell me anything. That's really cool. But yeah, no, we have our final blows per 10 minutes, which is, I think, one of the most important stat categories for DPS players. It really tells you, I don't think elims is that important for DPS because they're doing a lot of damage to a lot of different targets, but being able to finish off a target is a very important thing to have as a DPS player. To be able to bite the head off the snake and really finish a target is really important, right? And obviously, there are characters that are better at this than others. We have our one-shot characters. We have our echoes who are literally have abilities who are meant to finish targets off. But yeah, we can see here with the rankings now, we have Kartik, Brutal, Hawk, Misled, and Kirby leading those categories, which are all from top teams here. And then we showed their most played heroes, just to give you an idea of the characters they're getting this on. Meow, of course, had their first games this week. So, maybe skewed a little bit by the fact that they played some weaker teams, but we'll get to see those even out a little bit more as they get into their more difficult matches this week. Excited to see how that one plays out and how this all plays out. We will get into our next stat category now, which I guess I shouldn't even predict what it's going to be since this is going to be the most scuffed section. But yeah, it looks like we will be getting into our damage dealt per 10 minutes. And this one is not exactly perfect. We did have some absolute monstrosity people leading in this category, but since they unfortunately dropped, we decided to add it and then put a line through it to show that they are no longer in the rankings. Scooter was leading though with his most played character being Symmetra, which I think is actually pretty impressive, considering the fact that Symmetra is only really good on a few maps. So I think it's kind of interesting. But we have Kartik from Meowegian, we have Dark from Monarchy, Swanky Pants, Goliad, and Kirby Bro. Something I do want to point out though is that most of these are actually tank players. You'd expect it to be the tanks have actually been popping off in this tournament, getting a lot of big stats here. So that's going to be our damage dealt category. We will move on to our next category, which I believe is healing per 10. And this will be where we get to show our support some love here. It actually will be Des because, once again, my producer doesn't tell me anything. You'll love to see it. But yeah, we do actually get to see that Council of Anime Girls is kind of dominating this category. And I think that does have to do a little bit with their strength of schedule. They haven't really played any teams that have given them a big challenge yet. But still, it's very impressive to see these numbers from them. To have such low deaths per 10. And, Such also getting in there from Blue Clues Bandits, which is impressive considering the strength of schedule they've had so far, having to play SBV and losing that game 3-1, having such a low deaths count, especially on a character like Zari, who's not very mobile and can't really escape without help from her team, is very, very impressive. So definitely deserving of that spot here. We will get into our final category, which this time I am sure of it will be healing per 10. We'll get to give our support some love finally. And this one kind of surprised me a little bit. We are in a bit of a low healing meta with, Brigitte and Zen, and not really, those aren't very high output characters when it comes to healing. But I was very surprised to see that Brigitte player was at the top of this ranking. And even with only 8.6 heals per 10, that's not a whole lot. There are a lot of characters who can do a lot more than that overall. That really goes to show you the impact that Orchestra has on that Brigitte. We do see the other ones up there are all Ana players, and then Wisp on that Mercy, who's been putting out a lot of healing, which is very important, what you like to see with that Mercy in those compositions that they're running on Storybook Villains. So yeah, no, that is going to do it for our rankings for now. We will have much more streamlined graphics for next week when we actually communicate between me and Joey about how we're going to do this. I take full blame for this. This was kind of my fault. I didn't tell him what I wanted. But yeah, that is our stats for now, at least. I promise we will. Yes, thank you, Joey. That is me. I promise you we will have some better graphics coming for next week, and especially for playoffs and moving forward for the Nest. We will have some more stuff put out on that. But yeah, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate your support so much here. I've really been enjoying putting on these episodes of the Nest, even though tonight's was a little bit scuffed. It was a lot of fun to produce for you guys. So yeah, I hope to see you guys all here Be sure to check out our games this Friday and Sunday. We got a lot of great ones for you that will be produced here at twitch.tv/Owlet tournaments and some other channels as well for our backup producers. So be sure to check the Discord announcements for where those games will be played. But for now, I'm Misfit, and we, hope you have a great night. So yeah, I'm not very good at outros. Bye-bye.